Welcome to Deep Dive, the novel Aftershow. This is the podcast where we uncover the hidden layers, unravel the twists, and explore the worlds within words of the novels of, well, me, J. Kevin Tumlinson. Whether you've just finished the book or you're curious about what's inside, spoilers and all, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Welcome to a deep dive into The Stepping Maze. It's a thriller novel you sent us.
Yeah.
It's got archaeology, physics, and even some family mysteries spanning generations.
That's right, yeah.
A lot to unpack there. I think you're going to like where this goes.
Yeah, the excerpts you send offer a glimpse into the world of cryptography espionage.
Right.
And what makes it even more compelling is the personal connection. The main character, Dan Kotler, is pulled into the case because of his great-grandfather's secret work.
Oh, wow.
Blurs the line between his professional and family life.
It really is a recipe for intrigue.
It is.
We got kidnappings, a secret government facility, and even a code-breaking machine based on quantum mechanics.
Wow.
Let's start by introducing the key players in this story.
Okay, absolutely. So first we have Dan Kotler.
Okay.
He's an archaeologist who consults for the FBI.
Right.
He brings historical knowledge and analytical skills to decipher these complex codes and symbols.
So he's like comfortable in a dusty archive or chasing down a lead in some foreign country.
Yeah.
Like a modern-day Indiana Jones, almost.
That's a very apt comparison.
Okay, cool.
He's partnered with FBI agent Roland Denzel, who provides law enforcement expertise and the muscle.
Okay, opposites attract, right?
Exactly.
The excerpts mention a forensic anthropologist, Liz Ludlam.
Yes.
Works with the FBI.
Uh-huh.
She's not just there to examine ancient bones, I'm guessing.
You are correct about that.
Okay.
She brings scientific rigor analyzing remains and other forensic evidence, but she's also capable in dangerous situations as the story unfolds.
Okay, so she's kind of an action hero scientist.
Yeah.
I like it.
A little bit.
Now, the excerpts also mention Dr. Daniel F. Kotler.
Yes.
Dan's great-grandfather, who was a physicist involved in top-secret government projects, potentially even the early days of the NSA.
That's right.
Talk about a family legacy shrouded in mystery.
Yes, that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
The excerpt suggests that Dr. Daniel Kotler's work was groundbreaking, maybe even revolutionary. But much of it remains classified.
Right.
So it begs the question, what secrets did he uncover?
Yep.
How do they connect to the events happening present day?
Yeah, it's like a puzzle box just waiting to be unlocked.
It is.
Speaking of mysteries, we can't forget about the antagonists in this story.
Right.
We got Raiba, a mercenary with a personal vendetta against Dan, and then there's Dr. Robert Wiley, a physics professor who was once a mentor to Dan, but turns out to have a hidden agenda.
Yeah, the antagonists are multi-layered.
Okay.
Raiba represents a direct threat, a force of chaos driven by vengeance and a strict code of honor.
Yeah.
But then you have Dr. Wiley, whose betrayal is much more personal and complex.
Yeah, that betrayal must cut deep. Someone Dan trusted and admired. What could drive someone to those extremes? Greed, ambition, something else entirely?
It's a question we'll have to explore further as we delve deeper into the excerpts. Now, the mystery kicks off with a rather unusual kidnapping. Two physics professors, Dr. Marvin and Dr. Wiley himself, are abducted and locked inside a seemingly impenetrable vault beneath a cosmetics company in New York City.
Of all places, a cosmetics company.
Yes.
I'm intrigued. It seems almost too random to be a coincidence.
Yeah, you're picking up on something important there. The author of The Stepping Maze has a penchant for insignificant details, turning out to be crucial clues. This cosmetics company, Yardley of London, might have a historical connection that we'll uncover later.
I love those aha moments.
Yes.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
Let's talk about what the kidnappers leave behind at the scene. A cryptic manuscript addressed to Daniel F. Kotler, referencing something called a stepping maze.
Right. This manuscript is our first tangible link to the past, a message from beyond the grave, so to speak.
Wow.
It suggests that the key to solving this mystery lies in understanding the secrets of Dan's family history.
To make things even more challenging, the kidnappers communicate with Dan using a series of ciphers.
Right.
One in particular caught my eye, the ADFGVX cipher, notoriously difficult to crack, even for seasoned cryptographers.
Right. This highlights Dan's expertise as an archaeologist, but also as a puzzle solver.
Okay.
He has a knack for recognizing patterns connecting seemingly disparate pieces of information, which is crucial in deciphering these codes.
So it's like he's got this mental toolbox with all
Yeah.
this historical knowledge,
Wow.
analytical skills. He knows just the right tool to use for each challenge.
Right.
Now, as Dan digs deeper into the manuscript and his family history, he uncovers the meaning of the stepping maze.
Yeah.
It turns out to be a reference to the Sigaba machine, a real-life, code-breaking device from World War II.
The Sigaba machine was renowned for its complexity and resilience, considered virtually unbreakable during the war.
Wow.
The fact that it plays a role in this story adds another layer of intrigue and historical significance.
It's like the author is giving us a history lesson disguised as a thriller.
Yes, it is.
But here's where things take a dark turn. Dr. Wiley, Dan's former mentor, is revealed to be the mastermind behind the kidnappings.
Yes.
He's not just involved.
Right.
He's been living a double life, stealing Dan's identity and siphoning millions from his accounts.
It's a deep betrayal, not just professional, but a violation of trust on a personal level.
Wow.
Raises the stakes. We're no longer dealing with just a kidnapping. It's a personal attack on Dan and his family.
Speaking of family, things get even more intense when Liz Ludlam is abducted by Red Raiba,
Oh.
the mercenary we mentioned earlier. What's his beef with Dan, anyway?
His motivations are rooted in revenge. He blames Dan for the death of his brother, even though it was Liz who killed him in self-defense.
Oh, okay.
It's a twisted sense of justice, fueled by grief and a need for retribution.
So he's holding Dan responsible for a chain of events that he had no direct control over.
Yeah,
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
it is.
But tell me what happens to Liz. Surely the author wouldn't just leave her in the clutches of a ruthless mercenary.
You're right to be concerned. Liz's abduction adds a layer of urgency and danger to the story, but she's a resourceful and courageous character. The excerpts hint at a daring escape, showcasing her strength and determination. I think you'll find it quite satisfying.
Okay, good. I can't wait to hear about that. So Liz is facing danger. Dr. Wiley's betrayal is looming large. The stakes are higher than ever. What's the end game here? What are these villains after?
Well, the excerpts reveal that the true purpose of the kidnappings and the manuscript revolves around a device called the Heisenberg machine.
Okay.
It uses quantum mechanics for encryption based on the theories developed by none other than Dr. Daniel Kotler, Dan's great-grandfather.
Hold on a second. Quantum mechanics. That sounds incredibly complex. I'm going to need a bit more explanation on that one. How exactly can you use quantum mechanics to create a code-breaking machine?
It's a great question. It's where the story intersects with real-world science in a fascinating way.
Okay.
The Heisenberg machine, as described in the excerpts, utilizes the principles of quantum superposition and entanglement to create unbreakable encryption.
Okay, back up a minute. I'm familiar with the basic idea of quantum mechanics. You know, the whole a particle can be in two states at once thing.
Right.
But how does that translate into creating an unbreakable code?
So instead of bits, which are either 0 or 1, you have qubits, which can be 0, 1, or both simultaneously.
Okay.
Now imagine entangling these qubits so their states are linked, no matter how far apart they are.
Wow.
And this entanglement is what makes the code unbreakable. Any attempt to intercept or measure the qubits would disrupt their entanglement, immediately alerting the sender and receiver that the message has been compromised.
Wow, that's mind-blowing. So it's not just about creating a complex code,
Yeah.
It's about utilizing the fundamental laws of physics to make the code inherently secure.
Exactly. And the implications are staggering.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where communication is truly secure, where secrets can be shared without fear of interception.
Right.
It would revolutionize espionage, warfare, diplomacy, practically every aspect of our lives.
But it could also be incredibly dangerous, right? Think about criminals, terrorists, rogue governments exploiting this technology for nefarious purposes.
Absolutely.
It's a double-edged sword.
You're absolutely right. The Heisenberg machine represents both immense opportunity and immense risk.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that scientific advancements, especially in the realm of cryptography, can have profound and often unintended consequences.
Okay, so we have a device with the potential to reshape the world.
Yes.
Developed by Dan's brilliant but secretive great-grandfather. And now everyone from rogue scientists to ruthless mercenaries are after it. Where does the story go from here?
Well, that's what we'll explore in part 2. We'll delve deeper into the inner workings of the Heisenberg machine, examine the motivations of the key players, and unravel the layers of this complex conspiracy.
I'm already hooked. This is shaping up to be a deep dive filled with twists and turns, and I can't wait to see what revelations await us in the next part. Stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive into the stepping maze. Last time we left off with a pretty big revelation, the existence of the Heisenberg machine.
Yes.
This device with the potential to create unbreakable encryption. based on quantum mechanics.
Right.
It's got me thinking, what would a world with unbreakable encryption even look like?
It's a question that's both fascinating and a bit unsettling. On the one hand, imagine the possibilities for privacy and security. Your personal data, financial transactions, even your most private conversations would be completely shielded from prying eyes.
That sounds amazing. No more identity theft, no more data breaches, no more worrying about hackers snooping around.
Right.
It'd be a huge leap forward for individual freedom and security.
Exactly. But on the other hand, think about the potential downsides. Governments wouldn't be able to track criminal activity as easily. Intelligence agencies would lose their ability to gather information. Even law enforcement would face new challenges in investigations.
So it's almost like a paradox.
It is.
The very thing that can make us safer as individuals could also make the world a more dangerous place by empowering those who operate outside the law.
Precisely. The Heisenberg machine represents a fundamental shift in the balance of power, not just between individuals and institutions, but also between nations. Whoever controls this technology would hold a significant advantage in the global arena.
It's like something out of a sci-fi thriller. But this isn't just fiction, is it?
No.
I mean, quantum computing is a real thing.
Yes.
And scientists are already working on developing encryption methods based on quantum principles.
You're absolutely right. The science behind the Heisenberg machine, while fictionalized in the novel, is rooted in real-world advancements in quantum cryptography. In fact, some experts believe that quantum-resistant encryption methods will become essential in the near future, as traditional encryption methods become vulnerable to increasingly powerful computers.
So it's not a question of if but when.
Exactly.
This technology will become a reality.
Yes.
And the stepping maze offers a glimpse into what that reality might look like,
It does.
with all its potential benefits and dangers.
Right.
But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We
Yeah.
still have a mystery to solve.
We do.
The excerpts you provided focus on Dan's quest to understand how the Heisenberg machine works, and he discovers that it involves a platen, similar to a typewriter, but with encoded symbols. So it's not just a matter of building the machine.
No.
It's also about understanding how to use it, how to decipher the code.
Exactly. The platen is described as a complex puzzle with symbols that need to be aligned in a specific sequence to activate the machine and initiate the encryption process.
Okay.
It's here that Dan's unique skill set comes into play.
Right. He's not just a code breaker.
Right.
He's also an archaeologist, someone who's accustomed to deciphering ancient symbols and piecing together fragments of information. It's like he's using his knowledge of the past to unlock the secrets of the future.
That's a great way to put it. The excerpt suggests that Dan draws parallels between the symbols on the platen and ancient scripts he's encountered in his archaeological work, giving him a crucial advantage in understanding how the machine operates.
It's like those hidden object games.
Yeah.
Where you have to find all the pieces of a puzzle to unlock the next level.
Right.
But in this case, the stakes are much higher than just winning a game.
Absolutely. The fate of the world, quite literally, could hinge on Dan's ability to solve this puzzle. Now let's talk about the motivations of the key players.
Okay.
We've already touched on Red Raiba's desire for revenge. But what about Dr. Wiley? What could have led him to betray his former student and get involved in such a dangerous scheme?
That's what I find so intriguing. It's not just about greed or ambition,
Right.
though those factors might be at play.
They might be.
There seems to be something more,
Yeah.
a deeper motivation driving him.
There could be. One passage in the excerpts that caught my eye was where Dr. Wiley is described as expressing admiration for Dr. Daniel Kotler's work, almost a sense of awe at his genius.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You think he saw himself as a kindred spirit?
Possibly.
Someone who could understand and perhaps even build upon those groundbreaking theories.
It's a possibility worth considering.
Hmm.
Perhaps in his mind, he wasn't betraying Dr. Daniel Kotler's legacy, but rather carrying the torch, so to speak. He might have seen himself as the only one worthy of wielding the power of the Heisenberg machine.
So a combination of ambition, a thirst for knowledge, and perhaps even a warped sense of destiny.
Possibly.
It's a dangerous cocktail, especially when you add in the influence of a shadowy organization with seemingly limitless resources.
Exactly. Remember, Dr. Wiley was offered billions of dollars for his role in this scheme.
Right.
That kind of money suggests a powerful and well-funded operation, one that's willing to use any means necessary to achieve its goals.
Which makes me wonder, who are these people? What are their motives? Are they just after the money, or do they have a larger agenda?
Those are questions that the excerpts only hint at. We know that the organization has a global reach with operatives in multiple countries. They're also incredibly secretive, operating in the shadows and manipulating events from behind the scenes.
It's like they're playing a game of chess on a global scale.
It is.
And Dan and his team are just pawns in their elaborate scheme.
Yeah.
But here's what I don't understand. If they're so powerful and well-connected, why go through all this trouble to manipulate Dan? Why not just steal the Heisenberg machine outright?
That's a good question. The excerpts suggest that the machine itself is only part of the equation. There's also the knowledge of how to use it, how to decipher the code, which seems to be tied to Dan's unique understanding of history and his family legacy.
So it's like they need him
Yes.
to unlock the secrets of the machine to make it functional. But if that's the case, why involve Red Raiba? He seems to be operating on a completely different agenda driven by personal vengeance rather than the organization's goals.
That's where things get even more complicated. The excerpts hint at a possible connection between Red Raiba and the organization, but the nature of that connection remains unclear. It's possible that they've used him as a pawn, manipulating his desire for revenge to further their own ends.
So we have a complex web of interconnected players,
We do.
each with their own motivations, secrets, and agendas.
Yes.
It's like trying to untangle a Gordian knot.
Exactly. And at the heart of it all is the Heisenberg machine, a technological marvel with the potential to reshape the world. But the question remains, who will ultimately control this power, and what will they do with it?
That's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll delve into the implications of this conspiracy, the ethical dilemmas it raises, and the potential consequences for the future of cryptography and global security.
I'm eager to hear your thoughts on these matters, and I think you'll find this last part of our journey particularly thought-provoking. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the stepping maze. We've explored the science behind the Heisenberg machine, pondered the implications of unbreakable encryption, and tried to untangle this complex web of motivations driving the characters. But one question keeps nagging at me. Who is really behind all of this?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We've focused on Dr. Wiley and Red Raiba, but the excerpt suggests they're just pawns in a much larger game. Remember those hints about a shadowy organization with global reach, seemingly unlimited resources?
Right. And there was that conversation between Dan and Agent Coben from the NSA, where Coben alluded to information he couldn't reveal even with Dan's top-level security clearance. It's like there's a whole other level of this conspiracy operating in the shadows.
Exactly. It's like there's an invisible hand guiding events, manipulating people and resources to achieve a specific goal. But what is that goal? That's what we need to uncover.
Okay, let's play detective for a minute. What clues do we have about this organization? We know they're incredibly wealthy, they operate on a global scale, and they're not afraid to use violence or coercion to get what they want.
Yeah, their methods are meticulous and often ruthless. They seem to be experts at information warfare, using disinformation, manipulation, and psychological pressure to achieve their objectives.
It's almost like they're playing a game of chess on a grand scale, anticipating their opponent's moves and setting traps well in advance. But what's the end game? What are they hoping to achieve by acquiring the Heisenberg machine?
That's where things get really interesting. The excerpts offer a few tantalizing hints, but nothing concrete. One passage mentions the organization's interest in reshaping the global order, which suggests they have a much larger agenda than just financial gain or even technological dominance.
Reshaping the global order, that sounds like something out of a conspiracy theory.
It does.
But it also makes a strange kind of sense. Think about the implications of unbreakable encryption. It could disrupt entire industries, undermine governments, even change the balance of power between nations.
Exactly. Imagine a world where financial transactions are untraceable, where intelligence agencies are rendered powerless, where traditional forms of communication are completely secure from any form of surveillance. It'd be a paradigm shift, a fundamental change in how the world operates.
It's both exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. It's like opening Pandora's box. You never know what kind of chaos might be unleashed.
Right. That's the brilliance of the stepping maze, I think. It forces us to grapple with the complex ethical dilemmas posed by emerging technologies. It's not just about the thrill of the chase or the mystery of the conspiracy. It's about the potential consequences of scientific advancements and the choices we make as a society.
So while we don't have all the answers about this shadowy organization, we can speculate based on what we do know. They're powerful, they're secretive, and they have a vision for the future that might not align with the interests of governments or individuals.
And the Heisenberg machine is their key to achieving that vision. It's a tool that could give them unprecedented control over information and therefore overpower itself.
It's a chilling thought. But it also makes for a compelling story, one that leaves you pondering the implications long after you've finished reading.
That's the hallmark of a truly great thriller, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
It's not just about the entertainment value, it's about the questions it raises, the ideas it explores, and the impact it has on the reader's mind.
Absolutely. So, to our listener, we leave you with this final thought. As you continue to explore the world of the Stepping Maze, pay attention not just to the plot twists and turns, but also to the underlying themes and the questions they raise.
What are the limits of scientific progress? Who should control the power of emerging technologies? And what sacrifices are we willing to make in the name of security or freedom?
These are questions that resonate far beyond the pages of a novel. They're questions that we as a society must confront as we navigate the ever-evolving landscape of technology and its impact on our lives. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it as thought-provoking as we did.
Thanks for tuning in to Deep Dive, the novel Aftershow. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with your fellow book lovers and leave us a review. And visit kevintumlinson.com/books to dive into your next adventure.